After the Second World War, with the development of electronics and information technology, early forms of arcade games became increasingly popular during the early 70s in the US. At that time, Japanese economic was also growing vigorously. With the influence from the West, the developers in Japan have decided to make their own arcade games. In 1978, Taito Corporation developed famous games called Space Invader, which marked as the beginning of Japanese arcade games. Subsequently, with the release of many arcade games, it paved the path to success for many game companies such as Namco, Nintendo, and Sega. Playing arcade games quickly became one of the most popular urban leisure activities. Since 1980s, the majority cities of Japan have always hosted some forms of electronic amusement. Nowadays, there are still many game centers around the different transportation hubs and shopping malls. The Japanese arcade industry has constantly provided players with fun that they can't enjoy at home, such as claw games and Taiko no Tatsujin. There is no doubt that the game centers have become a place for people to relax.
In today's game center, you can see people from all age groups playing on various arcade games, and none of them seem to be out of place. Indeed, arcade games have always been the type of entertainment that attracts people no matter how young or old they are. This distinctive appeal to people despite their age groups is due to the numerous types of arcade games available in the game centers. Each type of arcade game we can see in today's game centers have their different target audiences. Película, for example, targets specifically younger female generations, especially young girls from high schools and university. Race games and fighting games, on the other hand, are extremely popular amongst males in general, although a majority of people playing them are men under the age of 30. Older generations are also targeted with more mature games such as horse race betting and mahjong simulation games. Moreover, there are some games that can be enjoyed by people from all age groups and genders. Despite its appeal to younger generations, crane games are one of the best examples that attract people even of older ages. Therefore, we can truly say that arcade games are the story of the people.
Master of Taiko is one of the standard arcade games. The aim of the game is to rhythmically drum along a melody using drumming sticks and a mechanical drum. The game allows the user to experience drumming a traditional Japanese drum. There is a variety of music varying from J-pop, anime, classical, etc., and the user can choose the degree of difficulty to play. The game can be played in either solo or tournament mode. The game center accommodates Japanese people's needs, either coming alone or with a group of friends, couples and family members to enjoy gaming. In Japan, the standard is 200 yen per play. The game is marketed for those who are able to purchase 200 yen and certain level of height to reach the drum. Mature children with parents or teenagers and adults are consumers. The target market is reflected by the wide music choice, from animations that children are familiar with, such as Yokai Watch, Doraemon, and mature music, such as 90s Rinda Rinda by the Blue Hearts and classical music. Having this game in the game center reflects a wide market of Japanese audience who appreciate music in the game centers. Taiko no Tatsujin also spread famously by the support of otaku that play Taiko no Tatsujin as well. In Japanese culture, this is called otoge. Some have become famous within the maniacs for completing extremely hard levels and showing a performance skill of drumming. The degree of difficulty is a Japanese cultural aspect, as allowing to create otaku and respected professionals within the gaming centers. Taiko no Tatsujin requires physical movement and fast-paced action, as it easily attracts audience as people play. The music also creates a unison between player and audiences, which create an understanding between members of game center. The culture is shared between the common understanding of music. Originally, the Japanese taiko is a traditional instrument played by adult men. The game reflects people's appreciation to music and traditional culture. Simultaneously, the game represents how Japanese culture is shaped by the presence of music in daily life. Traditional acts are appreciated and merged into a modern behavior.
Japanese game centers reveal to us elements of Japan's political, economical, and cultural scene that tend to otherwise go by unnoticed. One major indicator of economic developments within Japanese game centers is the cashless approach found in many major arcade providers throughout Japan, allowing for newfound price flexibility. Major organizations including Taito and Sega began this use of e-money payments in 2015 and expanded to around 200 locations by 2016. E-money raises arcades' profitability, with lower prices when the traffic tends to slow, and higher in the peak hours, as well as upping the price of more popular games. Customers still have the option to pay with physical coins, however game centers accept e-money transactions from major retailers such as JR East Suica, 7 & I Holdings Nanako, and Rakuten's Eddy Cards. In terms of the political and cultural developments, no item of Japanese game centers can be considered more iconic than that of Purikura. A joint development by Atlus and Sega, Purikura photo booths first came into effect in 1995. Not only is it a popular pastime of Japanese school students, its most attractive feature is decidedly the automated beautification of a person's features. Purikura acts as an instant gratification for those striving towards Japanese beauty ideals, and for only 300 yen allows people to post their images on social media, creating a deceptive image of what they actually look like. Japanese beauty ideals are promoted through the game's elimination of dark skin and small eyes, in favor of bright, pale skin and wide, comically enlarged eyes. These beauty ideals have existed in Japan since the Heian period of the 1st century, and continue today in the Purikura machines all over Japan that automatically give girls the features that are believed to represent beauty, and reiterate to them the importance placed on Japanese people to uphold a certain standard of attractiveness.
Game centers have been a phenomenon not only in the Japanese market but in Western markets as well. In the 1970s, with the release of Pong by Atari, followed by Space Invaders and then Pac-Man, the popularity of arcades in America exploded. The machines were generating up to $40 a day, an unheard of amount of income at the time. The main demographic of players are teens and young adults, with many spending time away from the watchful eyes of their parents playing arcade games with their peers. The popularity of arcades in America caused many prospective business owners of the time to open up video arcades of their own. Eventually, the market became saturated with machines and it became increasingly difficult to profit from owning them. This, compounded by the increasing concerns from parents that video games were causing their children to become violent, contributed to and helped result in the video game crash of 1983, with revenues of video game companies dropping almost 97%, from $3.2 billion to a mere $100 million by 1985. Following the video game crash, the console game market in America recovered with the release of consoles such as the Nintendo Entertainment System. However, arcades have become items of nostalgia that are often found in bars and other entertainment venues, lacking their own designated businesses. While there has been an increase in recent years of mega arcades such as the Japanese Round 1 and the American Dave & Buster's, consumption of arcade games in America has largely diminished. Overall, game centers in Japan have been on the decline since the 1980s. According to the Financial Times article Game On, Why Japan's Arcades Are Still Winning, published in 2017, at their peak there were over 44,000 game centers across Japan. In 2016, there were just under 5,000 registered with authorities and an estimated 9,000 with fewer than 50 machines. With the proliferation of various types of digital entertainment such as home console gaming, the internet, and then smartphones, the demand for game centers has diminished. For example, the famous fighting game franchise Street Fighter by Capcom traditionally released arcade editions of its games before subsequently releasing an edition for home game consoles. However, in 2016, they announced Street Fighter V, the first game in the series to be directly released to home consoles without a prior arcade release. Game centers are increasingly pushed to provide experiences that the customer cannot otherwise experience at home. In particular, crane games, Purikura photo booths, rhythm games, and games that require unique equipment such as Densha de Go, a train driving simulation game within a model of a train conductor's carriage, continue to draw customers. Presently, some game centers have also branched into the virtual reality gaming arena with virtual reality games which allow the customer to move about in a large, real space while wearing a virtual reality headset and interacting with a virtual world. These experiences, which are impossible or extremely expensive to implement in the home space, will help guarantee the future relevance of game centers going forward.